This is now the first step to lead your team differently and also your clients. And this will like have an impact on your time schedule because communication will be a lot more effective. This is now group Q&A sessions, which means that you don't have meetings all day long and answer questions all the time when they come in by email and chat and phone calls, right? Instead, you stop unstructured, always on communication and provide reliable Q&A sessions. Everyone can join, can, not must, 1 time or 2 times per day for maximum 45 minutes. You can offer such a Q&A session, for example, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, every day, and your team knows exactly when you are available for them. And then team members should prepare their questions before they join the session. That's the first step to put more ownership on them. Because when you see that people complain often, what they didn't do is think about what's their exact question to get over this complaint. By telling them, hey, in this session, please prepare your questions, you need them to think about what is their problem, and then they will be able to formulate a proper question. And then, of course, it's easy to answer the question, right? And then you answer the question in the session, and people will see that you are always reliably available and answer all their questions. And what is another positive effect of this Q&A session structure is that people will learn from each other, and they also will be able to help each other. Because if everyone is in this session, and if you have too many people, you can group it by roles, for example, right? All project managers in the session and all account managers and so on. But if you are just like 10 people, 15 people, it's okay to put them all in one session and they will learn from each other. And if you record this session, like just click the record button on your video tool, you build a knowledge base. And it doesn't cost you anything because, yes, like storage is almost for free, but it helps you build a knowledge base. You can use that later or not, but it is at no cost to just record it and make this knowledge persistent. You start doing that. Later, you can do it more structured, but right now it already builds an asset if you record this Q&A session, because if new people join, they can simply watch these videos and they get knowledge transfer already without you or someone else in your team telling them with their manual time. Now, if your team members show up and don't prepare, then I recommend requesting an async check-in before the meeting. That means they need to write down their question before and send it, for example, in Slack or in a Google form, send the questions they want to get answered, and this becomes the agenda of the meeting. That's the same mechanism as if someone requests a meeting one-on-one with you through your calendar, you ask them in the booking tool what other questions you want to get answered to. And that forces people to think about what they want from you. And that's important because if they don't know what they want, like they can join the meeting, you can join the meeting. It's just a lot of blah, blah, blah without a result. And everyone wasted his or her time. So that is an effective measure if your team does not show up with well-prepared questions. I would do this as the second step. If it doesn't work when they show up and just ask well-defined questions, then I would ask them to send the question before the meeting. Yeah, and no questions to you outside the session is an important rule because remember, you get what you tolerate. If you allow people to send you questions outside of these Q&A sessions and you answer them, you will train your team that it's okay to do that and that it works for them, so they will continue to do that. And in the end, you have the same problem. For everything, you can always say no and provide an alternative. You can say, sorry, I can't answer this question now, or simply don't reply, or simply say, hey, good question, take it to the next Q&A session. I'm happy to answer it there. And they will get used to it and trained to it. And you will see that the noise will be significantly reduced. Remember, you get what you tolerate. Now, in these sessions, you want to lead with questions, okay? You want to answer that question if the question is well prepared, but if there are just vague things, you want to ask a question back. Not just tell them something, ask a deep dive clarifying question. Okay, that's called asking versus telling. Because asking them a question back will trigger their focus to think more deeply about their topic, concern, complaint, or question. Okay, you can ask, good question, what did you already try? Or who can answer this question? You can ask to the group, good question, who can answer this question? So and if people like are not engaged in that, mention their name, because then they will react, right? If you just ask question to the group and they don't respond because they are unengaged, then you want to say their specific name and ask them, hey, what is your suggestion? How can you answer this question? And then always make sure that they have different options available. Ask them, okay, so which options do you see to solve this problem? And ask what else and what else and who has another option, okay? Let them create the options they see. And then help them prioritize them by asking them, how would you prioritize the options? What is the most important option? What's the second most important option? Where would you start? Right? That's how you lead their thoughts with questions to the right topics and to lead their attention to solving problems towards solutions. And leading means it's only that. It means focusing people's attention and thoughts on what really matters. And remember, what I did in the beginning of this program is I helped you understand the exact root cause of problems, too much stress, too high workload, right? And when you exactly know the root cause, then it's almost easy to solve it. And if your team knows the root cause, then it's easy to formulate a question, and then it's easy to get an answer and to solve the problem. That's why this set of questions and this way to lead your team with questions instead of telling them is very effective and will train your team to be more accountable and take more ownership for their own topics and problems. Right? And they will start getting better and more self-managing with every week. That's how you train your people on the go. Now, there's also one other thing. It's showing versus telling, right? You want to make sure that if there are things to talk about, questions, or there's work where people want to review to, they should show it, not just talk about it. They ask them to show their screen. If you have a work tracking system, they should share their screen and point to what it is related to. It's their work, their task board, if they have concepts they want to share and get feedback to from you or from others in the group. And anything they want to get your or other people's feedback and answers to, they should show it, not just talk about it. Remember, showing versus telling and asking versus telling are important leadership skills that you can use and train yourself to in these Q&A sessions, and it will already change how your team behaves. So that's what you have now: time boxing, priority management, group Q&A sessions, and a guideline how you can lead your team to find their own solutions, right? And instead of being pulled around by everything and anything, you will see that you have well-defined time boxes where you get laser focused. You can still open your communication time boxes, right? Where you react to others. That's important. It's always a mix of reacting and focusing, but you never want to be in focus mode and still get distracted with reactive things. This will make your clients happier because you are more reliably available for them. It will make your team happier as you are more reliably available for them and less stressed. It will reduce workload and get you 4 to 10 hours free time every week that you can reinvest to build more systems, more structures, lead your team better, care more about your team, and build a real business that runs independently from you, or a team that runs independently from you, or both. Yeah, and when you implement that, it will help you big time to transition from the typical reactive leadership focus to where you are often driven by fear that things don't work and people don't deliver and they can't work without you and all these things that you come up in your brain. And urgency, because if you don't care about the important things, then they become urgent, and then you have important things that become urgent. That creates the biggest stress. But if you always have enough time and attention for the important things, you prevent them from becoming urgent, and that significantly reduces stress. And it helps you to get back to focused leadership, which is driven by results and reliability.